If you want to buy iron rod today, we all know how much is the cost of iron rod today. We all know what cement was 6 months ago. We know what is the cost of cement today. So we can give you housing finance to complete the house that you have started to construct already. So First Trust Mortgage Bank is there for you, either to get a loan to buy a land, either to get a loan to finance the improvement of the house, or you need to take a loan to complete a house that you have started. Maybe you have started, you are stuck in foundation level, and you need mortgage loan to take it up to lintel level, take it up from lintel level to completion level. We are all there for you. Of course, the major challenge for Nigerians is the interest rate. Interest rate is a major factor that is discouraging all Nigerians today. And of course, if you look at the society today MPC had a meeting, and I was just told that interest rate again has been increased upward again. So that is a challenge for all Nigerians. But we must find a way to make housing affordable for all Nigerians. And thank God there has been presentations that have been done here in previous sessions to make housing affordable to all Nigerians. So all that we need to do is to have a blend of both a commercial housing loan, look at the social housing loan made available to Nigerians, and look at other options that we can encourage Nigerians to own a house. By all means, we must ensure that every Nigerian is given the opportunity to own a house. You cannot buy a house, you can buy a land to build at your own pace. So we are there to guide you through from the scratch to owning a house in Nigeria, whether you're in Abuja or you're in Lagos or in other major cities of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacob. I'll call on Abdul Malik Mandi. I know he's well known as the Managing Director of Modern Shelter, but I want him to intervene in another area. Before that, I know he was been very active in non-interest finance space, and that's what I want him to speak to. The non-interest finance opportunities, how does that play out? Opportunities for this, because we have just been told the housing we need is the housing affordable for Nigerians who are predominantly low-income people. So please, that is the intervention. Please, you can speak to that, Rick. And if there are other thoughts on developers as well, you can also do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So when it comes to housing, inclusivity is very important, and that's where non-interest finance comes in. We have a significant part of the country or population of the country that, due to religious reasons, don't want to take interest-bearing facilities. So these people are left out of the financial markets and the financial space. And they form more than maybe 40, 50% of the population. And so you cannot have housing without carrying everybody along. Non-interest finance is very interesting in the sense that it allows the financier, in the case of the bank here, financial institution, to actually own the asset. So, say for example, somebody wants to buy a house of 10 million, and one interesting thing that you have said about, you've all said, the previous speakers, about these people in the micro or non-formal sector, these are people that are ready to cut their coat according to their cloth. So they are not like our formal sector people, the guys in urban centers in Abuja that want to buy 2-bedroom, or that their salary can only do 2-bedroom, but they'll be asking you for parking space, all rooms and suite, tiling, and other things. These are people that are very real, and they are working for, you know, the blue collar workers, so to speak. So they really, really work hard, you know, day to day for their money, and they don't have any pretensions. So in non-interest finance, to do micro lending, I think it will be something that aligns with the principles of non-interest banking, to alleviate suffering and to bring succor to society. So the bank in this case, hypothetically, can own the asset. Let's say the ultimate cost of the house is 10 million, and the bank can actually finance the construction of the house at 10 million. In fact, the bank can use what they call as their charity fund, because all non-interest finance organizations cannot charge interest, and they cannot charge beyond what they've agreed. So if they agree to give you money, 10 million for a business, and you default, they can charge you penalty, but they cannot recognize that penalty on their books. So every year they give a lot of charity. So you go Jai's Foundation, Taj Foundation, they have a lot of money that they just give away. So they can buy the asset at 10 million, and give these incremental facilities, like we rightly said, based on the customer's purchasing power. So it is called a diminishing ownership, or just like the lease that we know, the normal finance lease. So as you are paying, more ownership of the house is increasing. So the only thing you are paying for is the amount. So let's say the house is 10 million, and you bring your equity contribution of 10%. Well, that's 1 million, and then incrementally, you pay. They give you a loan of 3 million. You pay, so you own 40% of the asset. You're only paying for the 60%, and you're only paying rent. So it's like a rent-to-own scheme. That's how it works. So they are transferring the ownership as you are paying. So it's something that can easily be done by Islamic banks. And for developers, all we need as developers is to say that there is a market that has been defined. If we know that these microfinance organizations, you have market women, you have butchers, you have cobblers, whoever they are, you know that these guys, you can define them. You know that they need 100 units in this location. Let's say Apple Resettlement or Apple Mechanics Village. You can go beside them and build an estate because you know that there are people that will take. And at that level, maybe they don't care about asphalt. They are okay with just clearing the street and having a drainage by the side. So the cost of the construction significantly comes down. So we will go and provide that kind of housing, just like the Mula Foundation, which is very, very good example for everybody to copy. What we need to do as a country is to scale Mula, Fula, and to have them in every major town, not just in the capital cities. You go to states like Kaduna, where you have Zaria as a major commercial center. We tend to concentrate developments in state capitals. But there are many states in Nigeria that have 3 or 4 major cities with a lot of commercial activity that we need to go to. When you go to down in the southwest, you have places like Obomosho, Shagamu. They are not capitals, but they have the numbers and they have the need. So I think developers, once we see the market, once it's defined, the opportunity is there, we'll definitely not go and build 10 or 5 of those kind of houses. We need to build a lot of them. The Kano State government was here this afternoon. You need government to participate by giving free land, just like Nasarawa State has done. You have to give land because land is one of the major challenges. Government needs to understand that for its own security, for its own revenue generation, for healthcare, when you group people in a certain location, you can provide services for those people. You also know who these people are, and you can also tax these people. So we need to have a lot of urban regeneration. If you go to Kano, for example, in the north, you see that one house maybe has been divided to 20 heirs, sons and daughters when the owner of the house dies, and it's pieces in city center. Those things are not sustainable, and that's why wherever there's a disease outbreak, those people will be the epicenter of that disease. So we need to see how this micro housing can also help us in terms of security, in terms of healthcare, in terms of provision of services such as health and education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Malik. Now I will go to Mr. Adeshemoye. I'll come back to the essays for Ekiti and, of course, Permanent Secretary, Lagos Ministry of Housing. I'll go to Mr. Adeshemoye, and that is because for some of us, we may not know that even Federal Mortgage Bank is playing in the housing microfinance space, and how they are giving 1 million improvement loans. What is that? Housing microfinance. So they are actively involved in that. And I know so they are doing that. And I also know that even for the NHF loan, it allows what we call incremental building, money, stage payments, and all of that. That is what? A form of housing microfinance. However, why I'm calling on Mr. Adeshemoye for him to intervene at this point in time is because, one, he was a former director of OFISD, in charge in Central Bank of Nigeria, responsible for microfinance banks, development institutions, and mortgage banks. And I know he was actively involved in the Uniform Underwriting Standard that we came up with for mortgage banks, even on the support for housing microfinance. And he was also a former non-executive director of Federal Mortgage Bank. Mr. Adeshemoye, your short intervention. Thank you.
Moderator. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and co-panelists. I'm delighted to add to some of the things that our co-panelists have already made mention, so that I can fill up the gap, because I actually designed the institutionalization of housing microfinance for the microfinance bank. So, because when we launched the microfinance bank policy, which happened to be the author in 2005, we had no housing microfinance bank in the product. But and the extent of the duration of the micro loan that you can have, the gestation cannot be more than 24 months. That does not fit into the housing microfinance that we're doing incremental construction. So we needed to change the regulation in order to support the microfinance bank to deploy this particular product in 2013. 2014. So we had to extend beyond the 24 months to make it 36 months. And the ceiling for micro loan then was 500. We also have to change that particular ceiling, because there are people they have already evaluated that could carry 2 million, 3 million instrumentally. So we had to change those areas. Part of the area that my other colleague have not spoken about is on the issue of expandable construction, which is organic. So when you lend to someone in a formal sector that he already has a title of the land, you will probably lend to the person with 1 room and a parlor, but with an expandable opportunity, so that as the family increases, you can add additional room. And as the family is also, the woman is engaging in one SME, you can add a shop to that particular premise. And it can be a tailor, it can be having a small shop in such a way that it will be contributing to the family income, because the house itself is not the one that is generating money, not the income, but the income of the business of the whole family is what is being evaluated. So in housing microfinance space, it is not the house that is the collateral, it is the cash flow from the business of the family. So expandable on the basis of the incremental construction. This is very critical. The incremental construction area, a house can be divided into 3 or 4 depending on the bill of quantity. So it can run from 36 months to 8 years to 9 years, depending on the cycle that the bank has evaluated. So it fitting particularly to our own community. Most of our parents build incrementally. So we structure this particular product. And the institutions that we supported while I was there under the program NHFP happened to be LAPO, happened to be ASEAN, happened to be MPF, UP Microfinance Bank, AB, and Baobab. So all these institutions we lent to them, and I'm happy that almost all of them have fully repaid the loan, and they have built capacity in that particular area. So I'm happy to see all these institutions and that the project did not fail. Thank you very much for your performance.
Yeah, thank you very much for that intervention, Mr. Adeshemoye. Now we'll talk about the housing we need. Who is responsible? Now I'll start from the SA Special Advisor on Housing and Mortgage Development to the Governor of Ekiti State, my very good friend, Benga Renio. But the reason why I'm starting with them, it is not to say that it is the responsibility of government to provide housing. They're just going to lead the conversation, and we're also going to contribute, because housing is a responsibility that we owe ourselves. We owe our children, we owe the future. And we owe ourselves because that is the way to create jobs. So I'm sure they will start the conversation from that perspective. And he's also been an experienced banker from the days of yore, if I can use that word. So he can speak to even the issue of housing microfinance from his experience as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the moderator and my co-panelists. I'm glad to be here. I've gained a lot from this coming together today. And I appreciate the introduction that the moderator made mention of. As a former banker, I do understand the fact that banks will give you money when you don't need it. But that's just a fact. Bank will run after you when you are liquid enough. Listening to my panelists earlier on, I discovered that a lot of things are going on at the back of the door that is really not coming to reality. It may shock you, sir, the moderator, to hear that the sole responsibility of providing houses is that of the government. In every developed countries, you know, their governments are the prime movers of providing shelter for the people. They don't do cash down. They don't have land that they start building from the scratch. So the sole responsibility of provision of houses, decent ones, are solely that of the government. That is one. Now listening to many of my panelists here, I discovered that the summary of the whole thing is like, if you don't own a house today or even next tomorrow, you are a near fool. Because it sounds so rosy about the packages that they have, but they are not really telling us the booby traps that are behind it, like the conditionality before you can draw down and what you need to meet. As a government, we in government, we understand the fact that we don't have business being in business. That is why the regulatory authority made provision for all these other agencies that are supposed to assist government. We that were in government were sincere when it comes to house deliveries. We are also intentional, and we are so stern about what we want. For instance, in the government of Ekiti State, we have a mission that is shared prosperity. And we want to ensure that houses are not only affordable, they must be accessible and they must be available. So if houses are going to be accessible, available, and affordable, that's the wisdom why we have housing married to mortgage development in Ekiti State. And where are we? Actually, you discover that when you are poor, you are poor. That's just a fact. When you are poor, you are poor. There is nothing you can lift with a finger when money and resources are not there. So how do we want to achieve what we want to do? By giving this thing out to our people, by giving accommodation out to our people. What we intend to do initially is to bring in these co-partners, like looking out of the box. Because if I want to stay within and I say I want to present a budget for house deliveries, I don't know where we'll start from. I think the co-panelist, Mr. Abdul Malik, hit it the nail on the head at the first session where you came around, that you made mention of the fact that if a developer has these two options to provide for high-end users and even the low-end user, they prefer to do the high-end because by the time you do like about 10 or 20, you are done with your profitability. But what happens to the other people at the lower rung of the ladder? And if you check the statistics, 20% of people that really want to own accommodation or houses are the people that can have it now. And when we keep building for the high-end users, I can tell you for free that those people that are having those houses, they are not the first, they are not owning those houses for the first time. I'm sure they are built in Lagos, they are built in Abuja or Port Harcourt, they are adding another one to the one they have. So we are not solving the problem. The problem that the government is seeing now is that we want to be intentional. We want to see, like, you know, we speak a lot of English. I had been in a meeting with a director in Federal Ministry of Housing here, and the lady just got it, got it right. He said, we are here not to speak a lot of English. At the end of the day, nothing is on ground. I was privileged to be in the Council of National Council of Housing in Kaduna a couple of months back. We had a lot of presentations. We had a lot of people, they came around to tell us, you can get a loan, you can get, at the end of the day, it's like everything hanging in the air. We can't dovetail it to how the government can truly move on with all these privileges. There are a lot of booby traps that are not being downloaded to us, that they say, okay, we can have this have been done, other things have been done. But I strongly believe that it is important for us to really know that housing deficit needs national emergency. If you don't declare national emergency on this, because it's one of the major 3 basic things of life that we need. We talk about food, we talk about clothing, we also talk about shelter. And if you look at the first 2, you know that the cost of getting this thing done, they are not smiling at all. Not to talk of shelter, that the components are so unaffordable now. And when you are talking about affordability, we have to look at 2 concepts. We need to look at it at the money that is available to buy this thing and the cost of bringing this thing to bear. Most of the developers, when they develop for us, at the end of the day, they are developing for high-end users. We have the market for them in Ekiti, no doubt about that. Why? Because we have a huge diaspora population. I was on online meeting with some of them. A lot of them, even the Bank of North Carolina, they were eager to even support these people to have houses. Because a lot of them, they'll be sending money home to their relatives, that those ones have been using the money to marry new wives or try to get their younger ones to school. So when they knew that government is now coming in, because credibility is more of what government can bring on board, more than even any developer. The moment they know that government has a hand in it, they are home and dry. They are good to go. So I think we need more of this partnership from the so-called all the things that are available so that government can really move on. It is the responsibility of government to provide houses for the citizenry. And we're trying so much to do that, but we need assistance of everybody to come on board. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Agboyega Oleniyo. We'll now go to Engineer Abdulhafiz Bola Ontoriola, Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Ministry of Housing. You have the floor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator and co-panelists. I think I'm going to look at it from the Lagos perspective. We all know that Lagos State has the population and also has the smallest land mass in Nigeria, about 0.4 of the land mass. Out of that 0.5, about 30% is even water. But the population is there when it comes to urbanization. So you need to be thinking, planning every day. Like what the key speaker said today, he said there is some locations in Lagos where you buy a land, you get your return on within a year. I don't know whether we had him. And that shows the demand for housing in Lagos State. And like he said, one of the basic things of life is shelter, which is very key. And what we have been doing in Lagos, I'll just share a Lagos State experience with you. What have we been doing? And you have said it's a shared responsibility. We must be sincere. Government cannot provide all the housing units we need in Lagos. So what have we been doing? We are looking at the mortgage. We are looking at partnership in terms of joint venture where we provide lands as our own equity. And Lagos State has also done something that is unique, that even if you are partnering with any recognized developer, we also, apart from providing the land, we also give 40 rebate on all permits. We talk about the TIA, that's the traffic impact assessment, we give 40%. We talk about AIA, environmental impact, we give about 40%. Layout fees, we give 40% just to encourage them before we now share the proceeds, the stock. So we also did something that is unique. It's like what Alhaji said. We call it rent to own. Where Lagos State we also provide some housing units. We have different estates in Lagos where we ask the subscribers to pay about 5% of total cost, and we now spread the balance under 10 years. We call it rent to own, which is being managed by Lagos Mortgage Board. And apart from that, we have about 3 agencies under the Ministry of Housing that also provide housing because of the demand. We have Lagos Mortgage Board, we have Lagos Building Investment Corporation, apart from the ministry or LSDPC. But we take care of the low income because I believe what we're talking about here is about low income because it's not easy for them to have the cash and pay outrightly. That's why we have different modes of how you can acquire properties in Lagos, either outright purchase or rent to own, where you pay a percentage. The experience of Lagos State has been very commendable when it comes to providing houses. Apart from that, we know that a lot of developers also come into Lagos State without partnering with government. But we need to also protect the buyer. You see, at times, developer will build, they will advertise, they will do everything. At the end of the day, they will give the same unit to about 5 or 6 subscribers. That's why Lagos State came up with this law, Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority, we call it LASERA, where the law take care of both the developer in terms of protecting the developer and also protect the subscribers, I mean, the allottees. So we have been coming a lot of initiatives based on the challenges. That is the key word, the challenges. And we continue to improve because we have to continue to provide for people based on our statistics. An average of 90 people come to Lagos State per hour. 90 people come to Lagos per hour. So when you multiply that by a year, people are still coming to Lagos because of urbanization I've mentioned and industrialization. So it's something that we continue to partner with people, and people can also approach us for us to provide affordable houses for the citizens of Lagos State. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer. Now, because we need to round up, I will go back to Mr. Adeshime. Housing we need, who is responsible? Just have one minute intervention by the other panelists, then have 1 or 2 questions from the floor, and then we can call it a day. Thank you. Back to Mr. Adeshime.
Yeah, I think it's a combination because the solution to housing, particularly the gaps that we have, we must take advantage of government, partnership, and private sector. So it's a combination. The room is there for everyone to participate, and the responsibility can be shared by all so that we can deliver. The more important thing is to deliver to the people. That is more important to us. So we need to come up with solutions that fit in to the pocket of the people and can help the people to come to home ownership, whether by rent to own or by loan, by improvement, or by housing microfinance, by mortgage. We need to deploy a number of solutions to tackle the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Adeshime. Now go back to Abdul Malik.
For me, I think we need to look at it holistically. I have this vision of urban renewal. So in inner cities, in places like Kano, Katsina, and some parts of the north, I'm looking at how government can evacuate the people from these overpopulated places that lack social services, create new townships, with facilities, and build houses according to the income of these people, and take services to them. Because one of the reasons why people don't like to move from where they are is that you cannot take me away from the market. You can't take me away to a place where there's no school, no healthcare, no access to anything. So it has to be holistic. It's not just a developer problem, but it has to be in sync with the urban development authorities. Because like the federal ministry is urban renewal, urban redevelopment is so important, because that's the only way we can achieve sustainability. And like I said, even government would save money in provision of healthcare, because a lot of people are sick unnecessarily. Because this malaria we're talking about, unless we have drainages that are flowing, are clean, people will continuously get sick. There's no water, so you have to design urban townships where you look at low-income people, you look at high income and mix them and encourage people to move. Then you take over the one in the center and redevelop it and sell. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdul Malik. Jacob, housing, who is responsible?
Yeah, like has been said, the role of housing is both for the public, that is government, and the private sector. For me, the government should serve as an enabler. if housing is going to be affordable for all, then government needs to make land affordable for all. Land should be made available at a minimal cost. If it's not made free for developers, it should be made available for people at the cost that they can pay for. And then for developers, of course, government alone cannot build houses for all Nigerians. That is where the private sector comes in. So if government can make lands available at little or no cost for developers, of course, the major cost for developer will just be the cost of building. So drastically, the cost of housing will come down. So government needs to come in as an enabler, and the developer needs to come in to provide not just housing for the high end, but must look at ways of making housing available for the low-income earners. I think that is the way to go.
Thank you. Paula, your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll throw the same line with him. For us to make housing affordable for all, we all need to collaborate. We all need to partner together. Because what we've been saying since yesterday, honestly, this is my first time of coming to a show like this, and it's an eye-opener. We have so many actionable things that we've mentioned since yesterday, but the problem here is implementation. So we all have to come together, the public sector, the private sector, the NGO, whatever we need to do to get people to get where they need to lay their heads. Because with that, you've actually solved most of their problems. So we all need to come together, to partner together, to have low-cost intervention for those at the bottom of the pyramid.
All right. Thank you. Taiwo.
Yes, I would like to emphasize collaboration, very critical. The concern with most of those who finance houses, especially around the informal sector, is the risk. But that is why the microfinance banks are there. They've been able to de-risk lending to this sector. And I think that handshake will provide more houses for the informal sector, which runs to 41 million from the last statistic we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, before we leave the stage, we'll have two questions from the floor, preferably from the women, because we can see there's no gender balancing on this panel. So if you have questions or comments from the floor from women, if you have any, if you do not have from the women folk, you may take a question. Oh, we are all good. Women know they carry last. Thank you, my sister.
Thank you very much for giving me the honor. First of all, I appreciate all our leaders, all our fathers that has been spoken since yesterday. I thank God for their wisdom. So they have told us that financing the housing we need is not the problem, but financing the mortgage that will finance the housing we need. So I just want to implore our leaders, our fathers, that God has helped to overcome the situation of mud, as they have given us the lecture yesterday, turning mud into a very beautiful houses, living place, that they should use the same wisdom to do what? To put in more effort in giving us avoidable housing we need. God will help us in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If there is no other comment, I'll give the closing remarks.
You may proceed, sir.
So thank you, everyone. We've had today housing microfinance, fact or fiction. Housing microfinance, I want a response. Fact or fiction? The eyes have it. Fact. Thank you. We also now know what housing microfinance is, how it affects us and those who are involved. It's an area, and as we said earlier, this may be one of the solutions to providing the housing we need. If majority of our people are in low income bracket, housing microfinance is one of the ways to make them live in decent housing and own their own houses. That's one. And there's a lot to be done. We've also heard here today about the roles. Who is responsible for providing the houses? I said earlier, everybody. Because really, if you have been told that we need about 60 to 90 trillion to fill up the gap deficit, there is no way government can use all the budget in 1 year only for housing. What about agriculture? What about healthcare? What about other areas of need? Certainly it's not going to be possible. So certainly we need to get involved. Private sector must bring in the funds. But of course, government must play its own role, provide the enabling environment, make land available, make processing easy for title, and support as required. And I think with that, we'll have a better story to tell. And as we live here, we know that we will not have succeeded because it is in our constitution, as we said yesterday. The role of government, one, security and what? Welfare. There cannot be welfare if your people are homeless and they live under the bridge. You cannot be seen to have succeeded in doing that. And as you also said yesterday, if government has been providing palliatives for food, and we said there are 3 major needs: housing, clothing, and food, and there have been palliatives for food, then the must be palliative for housing. That will be the subsidy that is required. We can do it and we should do it. Thank you everybody for being wonderful, particularly the people on the floor for staying this late. It's almost 6. Having you here from the beginning to the end, you deserve a wonderful applause, please. Thank you so much. And of course, for my panelists, you'll be wonderful as well for the intervention, for a kind intervention. And for some who have been here since morning, the session came up a bit late. We are sorry for that. And I'm sure we know what we are contending with. We have the IT glitch and we have the local glitch as well. Thank you so much for being wonderful. So again, another round of applause for everybody while the panelists stand up for group photograph. Thank you once again.
Last but not least, let's please appreciate the director of the Greenstem Group Mortgage Banking Association of Nigeria, Mr. Niyi Akinlusi, who just finished speaking, former president of the Mortgage Banking Association of Nigeria. A round of applause for him as he did so well as the moderator and anchor. We appreciate you, sir, so much. Once again, we appreciate the panelists as they come down from the stage. We're pleased to have you here today. What an amazing event today, but as everything that is great has to come to an end, the choo-choo train for the day has come to its final stop, and the cinematic movie of this housing event, which is financing the housing we need, has come to a close for the day. Thank you very much, and we will be here for new sessions tomorrow on the 24th. On the 24th of July. These sessions will be financing the housing we need, the FMBN, an institutional enabler that is revolutionizing the NHF for affordable housing and finance. We'll have different panelists. Please make ado to come on time as we will be starting at 10 a.m. promptly. We started a bit late today. We want to apologize for that, but tomorrow we'll be starting right on time. With that being said, I now officially call today to a close. Be safe, drive safe, and the Lord be with you. Thank you very much, and I'll take a picture right here, right now. Thank you very much.